Okay, so here's an update. This is a very tired face. Look at my fingers. Orange. From smoking. And I just quit. And then all of these, like I quit smoking, and then all of these winds just kind of like blew against me, and I started smoking again because I didn't want to live. And that's literally it. So, after everything, what I've done here to prepare for this lawsuit is I've been myself. All of it. I didn't hold back. I didn't act like somebody I'm not. I expressed myself how I wanted to express myself, and there was a lot of meltdowns that I couldn't. This whole experience has pushed me over the edge many times. But the point of being who I am is that I didn't hide any of my weaknesses, my vulnerabilities, the things that I'm ashamed of, the things that I've been shamed for, which makes me ashamed of things. I spread it out like butter. Why? Why would someone like me spread all of these shameful things out while I'm asking for help? To see how they respond, to prove that they don't care, to prove the stigma, to show exactly what's wrong. And I've done a really good job at exhausting everyone, everything, provincial and federal, many systems, many institutions, private and public. I've exposed the problem by being something that is very shameful and begging for help. And you know what happens? I'm ignored. Do you want to know why? Because they would rather see me die. They'd rather see me abandoned by the entire pack. They would rather isolate me, abandon me, ignore me until some predator comes and takes me out, or I take myself out, or I just die alone. So all of those things happen. When we isolate vulnerable people, they become prey. In any species, actually, any species. And humans are predators. Some of them like to chase, some of them are ambush, some of them wait around till the perfect moment and then pounce. You don't even see it coming. I don't feel safe against these predators. The system has gone out of the way to protect these people because they're more convincing, and I represent something that they would rather see suffer and die off. I recently wrote a letter to the Ministry of Canada whatever this isn't even a good thing. Because I've exhausted it. Like I said, I'm done asking them for help. They make me sick. I've been begging these people who manage all of these policies. And it's interesting too, because like they don't realize that I already climbed up the ladder before I messaged them and found out that it's the legislators that are responsible for all of the things that I'm asking to change because of A, B, C, D, E, F, G. They totally took themselves out of that equation, chose to not be responsible for these things, and tried to remain ignorant or unaware. It's sad that I keep getting the ball passed around, or people telling me to do things that I've already exhausted without looking at my evidence, or providing them all the things that I have already done, and then them choosing to not take a look at it and provide me with advice of things that I've already done. And then I do it again, and then they point me back to this person, and it just keeps going around and around in this vicious circle, and nobody is listening. Nobody is actively listening. Nobody takes their job seriously for everybody in society. We can clearly see that policies change overnight for coronavirus when one particular part of the population is vulnerable, a very small percentage as well, but not the same kind of passion is given to students who are killing themselves because of debt, or the seniors in long-term care who are deemed, let's be real, what does the government really think of the people in long-term care? I think we can see that through the actions, okay? And I don't want to say it's crude, but what their actions, no matter what I say about the government, there is nothing worse from me possible. There's absolutely nothing that I could have done worse from what this government has done, both provincial and federal, to our population. So I'm not worried about what I say. I'm not doing the things that they're doing. So I live in London, Ontario, one of the most conservative cities in this country. In fact, it's so conservative that marketing used to, anytime that there would be a new product introduced for national companies, they would launch it in London, Ontario, because London is such a conservative city, rich, wealthy, conservative, arrogant, okay, that if it passes in London, this launch, like if it does well in London, Ontario, then they'll consider launching it nationally, and they'll put that investment into doing the product across the country, because if it survives in London, then it would be indicative of surviving the rest of the nation. And you can feel it when you come here. If you start living here, you can feel the arrogance in the hospitals, everywhere you go here. It's very arrogant. The friends, the people, the groups, everybody thinks they're better. Even if they're like cracked out, they still think they're better than you. Bless their heart. And don't get me wrong, like I'm not judging people that are cracked out. Like I have my own toxic behaviors. And a lot of that is my meltdown and how I just burn bridges every day. So I've burned bridges with most of the people in London. A lot of people, actually. I'm really mouthy to everybody. I've held a lot of people responsible for the problems that the system is responsible for. So it's like my entire life I've been dealing with, how do I fix this? How do I figure out this anger? What do I do with it? Who's causing it? I know it's not me. I don't choose to be angry about my life. I don't. I don't want to be. I want out. I want out of this environment. I need out of this atmosphere that makes me feel unprotected and criminalized and isolated and all these types of things. So I put a lot of that anger on other people around me because all of these civilians chose these leaders who are responsible for the neglect and the genocidal policies. Let's be real. Let's talk about autism. I started therapy very young. Like I started trying to kill myself really early, and you know, I had therapists a few times, and there was a lot of problems at home. I was in the foster care, you know, so I had like a social worker at Children's Aid. You know, I've just constantly been around two people sitting in a chair shooting the shit. So I'm well equipped with all of the tools and coping mechanisms that allow me to figure out where this anger is coming from and how to resolve it. But it's still been a really big journey from point A, blaming myself, which is where it started. And I always internalized everything from the beginning. I still do. That's kind of my core value, really, is that I internalize, and if anything goes wrong, the first thing I think of is, what did I do? How did I get in this mess? How can I prevent it from happening again? That's the first thing I think of. What did I do? How did I get here? No more. No, not again. And with some things, it's unhealthy to blame yourself, and like the sexual assault, or like, you know, discrimination at school, or, you know, like getting bullied, or just things that I can't control. But I still blamed myself for a very long time, and therapy allowed me to forgive those other people and you know, forgive them for their ignorance and blame them, but also forgive them at the same time, so you're not carrying anger. But as you progress in life and things don't get better, and you're still dealing with issues everywhere you go, you know, from employers to hospitals to doctors to like, and these are really public services that I'm paying taxes for, right? So these are things that are supposed to be essential, that are supposed to keep me alive. This is like my housing. These are really important things. Access to quality food, affordability, like being able to afford good food, things like that. Like, so because I haven't had any of that, and it's been a really big struggle my entire life, and I've spent a lot of my life blaming myself, blaming people around me, really not knowing how to forgive people for electing the kinds of leaders that we've had. You know, politics can be a really big trigger for me, especially now, because like all of them, I just like, anyways. So the politics, I didn't like them to begin with. I think First Nations should be leading, but I wanted to make sure. I had to speak to somebody at the United Nations, and they said that I had to exhaust all of these people first. And so I exhausted them all the provincial and federal leaders. Like literally, I've got emails. Some of them have quit, they've moved around, and I've been emailing these people since before all the shuffles and everything, okay? I've been emailing these people since 2018, trying to like, hey, wake up. I have a list of things that need addressing right away. And then when Corona happened and I saw how quickly things changed, I'm like, okay, so they just believe one thing is an emergency and another thing is not, but yet they both are life-threatening, but yet they're not placing the same kind of value on either issue. When coronavirus happened, I became very vulnerable, and you know, I was doing really well up until 2020. When 2020 happened, you know, I became really vulnerable, and I seem to have stuck my neck out on the line in front of a lot of predators. A lot of predators within this time. And they're all trying to bite me and take advantage of my vulnerability, really, and make it harder for me to live, okay? So here's the road, okay? There's a crossroad. If somebody came to me and said, Aaron, I am extremely scared, vulnerable, and gives a list of ways. The last thing, in fact, I would never even try. It wouldn't even come to my mind. Not even the last thing that comes. It just would never come to my mind. To retaliate, feel threatened, and use those vulnerabilities against that person to get rid of them. That would never even cross my mind. The first thing that would come to my mind is, what can I do? Literally, what can I do? Can I help? Is there anything that I can do? And if they don't know, I'm like, what stage? What have you done? You know, and if they haven't done anything, oh my God, I'll like get up on the computer and I'll help them. I'll be like, let's do one thing at a time, one problem at a time. What's the most urgent? Let's do that one first. Okay, let's see what the resources have. Now that's like one way, right? Second way, what have you done? They give you a list of list of pages of everything that they've exhausted. They've literally called everyone that they need to, everyone that they've been told to call, they've already called. Every letter that they've been told to write, they've already written. Then you're like, whoa girl, you've literally done everything and it's still this hard? Uh-oh. How is this happening? People aren't asking that question. People are trying to gaslight me into thinking that I have these services. People are trying to gaslight me into thinking that I'm treated fairly, that I can go into a hospital and be treated with decency. People actually believe that, even though I tell them it's not the case. And then when I tell them that it's not the case, they blame me and tell me it's my problem because I'm not fitting into society the way that I should. Okay. No. I am autistic. My entire life, through therapy, also, has been the entire time, every single therapist, social worker, doctor, friend, medical professional, every single one, okay, has looked at me as a method to erase, cure all of the things that make me. Do you understand? So, my autism, how can you act like you don't have autism? Give eye contact. Do all the things that make you uncomfortable just to make other people comfortable. Basically. And if you can manage that, if you can do all of these things, if you can do everything perfect to make all of these neurotypicals feel special and normal and make them feel like you're not different, that's the goal. No meltdowns, perfect eye contact. Get your list of routines. Get up the way you should every day. You know, every single thing has to be done exactly how the perfect movie star, neurotypical from soap opera is done. Okay, we've got this whole like dynasty moment. My place is a fucking mess. I'm late. I have meltdowns. I'm loud. I'm blunt. I also have a lot of trauma. So I have like very complex trauma. I'm triggered a lot. I'm scared a lot. I'm like an abused dog who bites. Like not like physically, but like with his words a lot. As soon as I feel like, you know, something smells like something I've already had that I didn't want, I'm on it. And people don't like that, but I'm just trying to protect myself, and they think I'm attacking them, but I'm like, no, I'm just like, hey, like nothing against you, but I don't like this, I don't want this to happen. So I'm just like nipping it in the butt before I see it, because I can't handle more trauma. And I would rather remove myself from the situation, and I'm not going to remove myself without talking about it. And people find that threatening, but like, no, honey, no. Like, I'm giving you the opportunity. Like, when I'm challenging you and I'm on something, I'm giving you the opportunity to show me that I'm okay. And yes, I do need that reassurance right now, because if not, I would rather remove myself from the entire situation. And if I'm gonna have these triggers around you all the time, or these red flags, and they keep getting worse, I will remove myself from the situation. And I will not take those risks like I did in the past, which got me into really bad situations. So yeah, I'm really different, and people don't like that. People think that because I have not achieved normal, that I'm not worth saving, I'm not worth protecting, I'm not worth changing policies for, I'm not worth listening to how to make our policies better so that people like me don't end up in this situation. So like, hey, maybe the next generation of autistic kids can grow up feeling accepted, and maybe they don't want to kill themselves their entire life. You know, that would be really nice, because I'm not the only one that thinks about suicide. It's really sad. And I keep telling these people over and over, and all these people aren't trained on autism, and they're not connected, and they're not realizing their social responsibility. And it's a shame. So when I found out the life expectancy for somebody with autism was 35, like, because of suicide, honestly, and then I thought about how many times I could have been gone. It's crazy. Or how much I still want to die. Every night when I go to bed, I think about it every night. It actually helps me sleep because, you know, it's the only thing that is soothing against all of the work that I've had to do to fight for my life, or my voice, or to be heard, or to feel like I exist. And it's very sad, because the more that I fight, the more that I like knock on doors for help, the more I feel like I don't exist. So it just kind of makes the whole situation worse. And people aren't making the connection to, if I take away somebody's voice, if I make them feel like they don't exist, and it's system-wide, why would they continue to exist against that? That's a very big force. And you do not need a gas chamber to commit genocide. This is enough. People are taking themselves out because they feel like they don't exist. And when they fight it, it just reinforces it harder. And I wish I never fought it. And I think this is why people don't. Because it literally takes people out. I need a cigarette, fuck's sakes. Yeah. Oh my lordy, 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 lordy. I've actually never been this depressed in my life. I'm really grateful that I did the mushrooms when I did. I don't think I would have made it. There's no way. I don't know what the mushrooms did to me. But they calmed me down. And they made me afraid to die a little. They actually made me afraid to die. Not because of death itself, but taking my life experiences to the grave and not using it to make a difference. That's what I'm afraid to die. I'm not afraid to die because death is like... Death sounds really easy, actually. I've thought that for a while. It's soothing, like I just said. But I'm afraid to see everything that I've worked for, everything that I've survived, be for nothing. Gross, right? Ugh, that makes me nauseous. Ugh. And I don't want it to be for nothing. I don't, people kept telling me, oh, it'll get better, keep going, we need you. And honestly, I've really stayed alive for the benefit of a lot of other people, because if I were to be selfish, or if I felt like I had nothing else to give, I would take myself out. I would already be gone. And for some reason, the mushrooms opened that perspective. It did. I went down, it makes you go through a lot of doors that you don't want to, that you've never even thought about existing, actually. Like, it opens up a lot of hidden perspectives. And that's why it's both dangerous and healing. I think it's not a cure. I don't think it's a cure. I think it's a tool that, that needs to be respected highly and proceeded carefully with. And I don't think something like that should be recreational. And, well, unless it's in small doses, of course. But I do believe that it was the heroic doses that really forced me into this self-reflective, very sleepy, it's very, very sleepy experience. And you kind of I just laid there in my bed in a really cozy situation and embraced thoughts. I really did it medicinally. I did it, in a dark room with very light music so that I could really focus on my own inner conflicts. And I learned a lot about what I'm really afraid of, why I'm afraid of those things. And it's a very interesting perspective. And it really helps, because I don't know if I didn't have this wisdom that I have now because of the mushrooms, I don't know if I would have been able to make it through all of this. And that's genocide. I look at my brothers and sisters, I'm Métis. I look at how we've survived, and I look at the survivors today from the residential schools who are saying what happened this year, they never thought this day would come. And for all the survivors that passed away that didn't get to see this day come, it's both hopeful and disheartening to see that a cover-up lasted so long. To see all my autistics dying, to see all of my brothers and sisters dying, to see I'm gay, to see gay people dying because of stigmas related to HIV, and that's for everyone, but you know, there are a lot of suicides in the gay community, and there's a lot of self-destructive behavior, and there's a lot of self-hate, and it's all from the system, because of the system, and the system allows it and enables it. And they blame the gay people for it. They blame the victim, where it's the system of oppressions, it's the social injustices, it's the communities at school, it's the lack of education, it's the ignorance across the entire system, inside and out. It's the doctors who treat, the straight doctors who treat gay people like diseases. My mom is not white passing. She has her own mental issues, but she's straight. She's very beautiful, but she was always mistreated. And she was profiled, and she had a lot harder time than her sister who was white passing. And I had a lot easier time than my mom because I was white passing. And my mom and I have both been homeless, you know, and I was able to get out of my situation faster, and she never could. She always struggled. And people criminalized her, and I had to survive on my own because my mother was destroyed completely. And I'm angry. I used to be really angry at my mom. And then I started writing this book, and I started putting myself like a fly on the wall. Instead of seeing things from her perspective, I tried to see myself as just somebody looking in at this narrative, you know, and then asking her also, like including her, and, you know, asking her things I never asked before, like what was going on before you did whatever you did to me. You know, what was leading up to that moment that we had that conflict. And you learn a lot. And you realize that they're just responding to a lot of really horrible things that they can't control, and that shouldn't be happening. And then you grow up and you realize that those things don't happen to other people, and you realize, things could have been different. And then you get mad. And when I started to look at the monsters in my mother's life that ricocheted into my life, and then I started looking at generational trauma, and then I started looking at my grandmother and what she did to my mom and her survival mode, and I definitely had a different take on my anger. Where does it go? Right? To the system. So for the last 3 years, I've been putting a lot of my anger there. I've been presenting it as anger because it is, and it should be. And people used it against me. People chose to not listen to me because I was swearing and I was abrasive. But I'm sorry, their policies are worse than what I'm saying. And they don't realize that. They don't take a moment to think about what I do. They don't think, what have I done? What do I contribute? They just see me as this angry, screaming psycho. I think they think I'm a psycho, actually, but I'm not. I'm actually not the psycho in this relationship. But because of how I'm acting, very explosive, really, which is really how I am. That is who I am, okay? I'm fucking explosive. Not really in the sense of I'm actually a bomb, although if I were to say that, because of my autism, people would actually think that because of all of the horrible things in the media and the narrative about autistic people and how they snap and like to blow things up or shoot people. That's not me. That's not even autism. Autism doesn't cause that either. So, sorry. When all of these narratives are created to further oppress people, when all of these policies and neglect and people are killing themselves, and I've literally told them the risks of my life and they still ignore me, and that's criminal negligence. Like, I've almost died still. This is criminal negligence. There are people that jump. There are people that don't post these videos. There are people that are not like me and this brave and strong to stand on this fucking video and bleed in the water like this, vulnerable. This takes a lot, especially with how I've already been treated for doing this. So people don't understand that most people just jump. And when I think about that, all I can think about, the only thing that I think about when I think about all my missing brothers and sisters who could still be here if they were treated equally and didn't feel so deprived that they wanted to die, I think this is genocide. You're starving people, slowly torturing them until they kill themselves. Okay? Watching person A get everything that they want while you're down here doing everything you can to achieve the same thing and then not getting it? Ever? People give up. Some people accept it and they give up inside and they die inside. And that spark that they used to have is crushed. That light inside is out, extinguished. So I brought all of this. I have brought all of this to their attention for 3 years now. Going on 4, shit. And it continues to get worse for me. And I keep getting the runaround, and I keep getting the ball passed, and I keep getting really ignorant people that are not trained for this. They're still not trained for me. It's just not good enough. And this is an emergency, and things need to change overnight. I've seen it change overnight for coronavirus. I represent a multitude of minorities that are screaming for help right now and for their voice to be heard. And it's time to go to the International Criminal Court, because this ongoing negligence, covering up, neglecting the contributions toward genocide with the policies that are currently made. It's genocide. This government emits toxic gas through its media, policies, and it's not just the government. It's the media, it's the College of Doctors, lawyers, the law societies, the justice system, the education system, the teachers. Like it really is the whole thing. And when I claim genocide, I'm not thinking of just myself here. I am opening the door to all the people that feel like they want to die because of the situations in this city that could be, or this country that should be different. Or the people that are getting killed off, literally getting shot for nothing. So, it takes an entire community. People are thinking in Canada right now, it's not genocide. We don't have a gas chamber. We don't have a Hitler. Girl, you do. You do not have to line up everybody in a row anymore and put them into a chamber and kill them off. You can still kill people off by making them feel like they don't exist. It's actually even better because they take themselves out and then the government cleans it up. And nobody takes responsibility for why that person died. Nobody asks, could we have done anything to change this outcome? And it's very, very sad because the people that do end up taking themselves out are people who exhaust the system first, like myself. So, a lot of people do ask for help and they get denied, okay? They get turned away. And then they ask their friends for help. And their friends are not trained for this. A lot of the time, your friends respond poorly to suicide ideation. And it actually makes it worse. And the next time you don't ask for help. And that's the time you die. So people don't look back and say, wait, what were those pressures? Why weren't we listening? Why did we push these people away? Why did we say, I'm sorry, I can't do anything? Did we listen? Did we listen to what we were contributing to? Who were we voting in? Who were, what were we doing? And I can say that a lot of people don't do a lot. And it's a lot of performance acts, and there's a lot of people that have exactly what they want in life and don't look at the people next to them and ask, what do you want? Is there anything that I'm doing that's taking anything away that you want? Because I have everything I want. Everyone should have everything that they want, right? I mean, if I had, could you imagine if all these people that have everything that they want all of a sudden tomorrow don't have what they want? Could you imagine these little bitches? I can't. Honestly, I just want fucking weed. And I want justice. I want to be treated fairly. So, and I just got this email. I had to look at my phone. Just got an email from Jan, my landlord's lawyer. My landlord has a lawyer representing her, but I can't find a lawyer. So this psychopath can have a lawyer representing her in court. But someone vulnerable, no, not a single lawyer will touch me. Nobody will represent me. No one will do the work for me. But this little bitch psychopath has Andy Hunter, who, her name's Hunter, like, of course. But little Miss Andy Hunter has no problem representing this psychopath. And I find it really interesting that these people who do awful things, who are being accused of really awful things, but there's actually evidence of really shit behavior, that they're still represented in court by lawyers, but then me, the vulnerable one, isn't. That's genocide. The Law Society of Ontario literally creates this narrative. I know it. There's no other way. There's no other way. I've called hundreds of lawyers for help to represent me because I can't do this by myself, because I'm having meltdowns and breakdowns, and I've been denied a doctor, and I've been denied a lawyer, and I've been denied all these things, and and I want to die because it's easier. So I'm going to the International Criminal Court. And I'm going to France, and I'm going to England. All three. Why? Because London, England, is the Commonwealth. And I'm suing the Commonwealth for what they've done to colonize. And I'm sure I'm not the first one, but I'm gonna be really loud, like I've always been. And I'm going to France to ask for citizenship because I'm Métis, and I want a passport out of this country. Period. They thought that they could come over here and do that. Well, I believe that every Métis and First Nations should have full access to any of the colonizing countries, should they want. Full European passport, full citizenship. Yeah, it's only fair. Okay? So I'm not asking, I'm going there to tell them that this is going to be new. And the same thing should be for all of the countries that they decided that they could just march right into and take everything. So, France, I'm going to ask for citizenship. We'll see how that goes. I don't want to live in London. I just want to be able to live in Europe on a nice little farm by the water by myself and just contribute and be away from all of this racism and Canada, because I can't handle it here. I need to find my spirit, and unfortunately until this land gets given back, I can't live under colonial rule with people that are trying to kill me off. And the government is trying to kill a lot of people off here. I am, like I said, Métis. We've survived our own form of genocide. I feel like we've survived genocide. There's a lot of generational trauma from becoming traitors. I'm a traitor. My bloodline is traitor. Métis are traitors to a lot of First Nations who worked with colonizing powers, and then really didn't get anything out of it. Because when France fled, the Métis were opposed by the British and the natives, and our ancestors had to flee north and create an entire new culture and existence and it's and lost everything that they set up with the traders and all of the traders. And since then, they're very Catholic, the Métis, white passing, speak for a lot of indigenous people, but they cannot. Very suburban life, very white. And they don't really have a connection to First Nations like I do. With my family being so diverse, it's allowed me to have that connection to Indigenous people. And my mom is not white passing for some reason, and there's family that have married Native, and there's family that have married white, and for different reasons. And it's interesting to see how that has created a lot of resentment or jealousy within my own family, because the ones that are white passing get jobs easier and have try less seriously. So that opens my eyes a lot. I'm a very aware white passing person. I've also been born homeless, and I understand what it's like to be on the street, to sleep in the snow. I know what it's like. I know what it's like to sleep in the park, for sure, for a while, many times. In my car, all over, whatever. I know what it's like. Actually, I'm pretty good at it. I'm like a professional homeless person. I'm really good at it. Because it's been my whole life. My mom's homelessness, my homelessness, being born homeless. And I talk to homeless people everywhere I go. Like, I look at them like me, to be fair. And I never get yelled at by anyone. And it's interesting because all these people that are around me, people give me these impressions, like they don't know that I've been homeless. They look at me and they think, oh, he's got some gold on. There's no way that this guy, and I come across really classy and stuff like that. And people are like, there's no way that this guy's been homeless. So I'm gonna make homeless jokes, or I'm gonna say what I think about homeless people. And some people are like, homeless people yell at me all the time. And I'm like, probably because you're a nasty person. Because like homeless people don't yell at me. Maybe you should stop treating vulnerable people like trash, And they're like, I just don't have anything to give. I'm like, that doesn't mean you have to look through them or avoid them or not wish them well, So it's interesting because like I give everybody on the street contact. I give everybody eye contact on the street. I make them feel like they're visible, and I acknowledge their pain, and I wish them that it'll get better, and I hope that they get off the street. I do, and I tell them that I've been there sometimes, and I tell them, I've been there and I got off, so just work and don't give up. I tell people to don't give up. It's actually more valuable than throwing change. Treating them like they exist is actually more valuable than a 20, 100, 200, filming whatever you give with them, like all of that. And I know because I've been on the street and I've watched person after person after person go as far as they can to avoid any kind of acknowledgement that I even exist. Going back to what I say, people say, oh, we don't have a Hitler, and I'm like, you don't need one. Okay. It wasn't just Hitler. It was a system created to influence an entire community to behave a particular way and to isolate others for various reasons. And it wasn't just Jews that were killed. Gay people, autistic people were killed off a lot. And, the Jews always take precedence for that entire thing, but it wasn't just them that were killed off. So it strikes a chord with me, even though I'm not Jewish. When I think about the Holocaust, I think about all of the people with disabilities, and to think if I existed at that time, I would be killed. When I look at the homeless people on the street, and I'm sure they were rounded up too and killed off in the Holocaust. And I'm sure nobody even noticed. And the prostitutes as well. Now, I've been a sex worker, but not by choice. Nobody grows up a kid thinking, I'm gonna sell my wee-wee for money. Nobody does. But these people are killed off through systems of neglect. And this is the point of getting to. And you don't need to line them up and put sex workers and homeless people or autistic people or gay people or First Nations people. And you do not need to line them up and put them into a gas chamber. You don't anymore. Because the gas chamber is now the policies, the systems, the communities, the education, the justice, the police, the social workers, all of it. That's the gas chamber now. And when it is toxic to some and healthy to others, that system, that deprivation, that relative deprivation that people experience in the same chamber, going to the same things and being treated differently, that causes relative deprivation. When I'm in a hospital and I see some white woman getting better treated for taking a couple pills wrong, and I'm actually suicidal, and she gets admitted first, and then she realizes it's not even a problem, and she's in there probably every day. I go in for one problem and I get denied healthcare for suicide. Okay. So yeah, I stop asking for help and I start looking for a way out. And because I feel trapped in this chamber, because I feel like I can't get out of it, because I can't change it, I want to die. I feel trapped. I feel like the only way out is in the ground. And that is a conclusion that a lot of people come to. Okay? So, no more of this. No more. This video is going to be submitted to court. All of it. This entire statement. Plus all of my evidence. What happens with my landlord and how my oppressor has been protected by the system makes me want to die. How she has a lawyer and I don't makes me want to die. How I haven't been seen by a doctor makes me want to die. How I've been ripped off hospital debts. How I get mistreated for my meltdowns. How I get treated like a threat when I need help. how I get criminalized when I need help, how my employer has been fighting me and refusing to take accountability for Manulife, forcing me into all these horrible, vulnerable situations when I had insurance and should have been insured, and then starving me into submission when I made them accountable. Makes me want to die. And it's not fake. I just know that I can't die without fighting. That's the only thing. But this is like the last door to knock on. I've knocked on every door in Canada. My knuckles are bleeding. It's an embarrassment. I'm merely going to embarrass the system now because I recorded all of it, and it's a shame that I'm still struggling so much. And everybody wants to like pass it on to somebody else, and then I go to them and they do it, and I go to that person and I've recorded all of it. And when you look at the hours and hours and hours, 3 years that I've spent giving these people an opportunity to avoid external investigation, I guess. You just can't be doing this with somebody's life anymore. And it is so system-wide. It is, there are so many people like me that don't even fight, that give up and die inside, or just choose to die. And these are the people that I am fighting for right now. And what's keeping me alive. And the story that I have that I'm trying to get on paper. And these lawsuits that I'm doing, trying to open the door for others so that they feel comfortable and welcome to be heard, and that they won't be fought and criminalized for standing up for their voice and their story and their pain and suffering. There's just no other way now. And I see that now. And, you know, I submitted my requests to the International Criminal Court in April, before I started emailing them, calling them, and then and I was just like, I think curious. I have already been calling Canada out on its genocide. It really started when last year, when the Canadian Human Rights Commission president, it was last year when I started to feel the genocide. When the tribunals and the justice system and everything that is built to protect vulnerable people is actually built to help them die faster. Literally. You fight them, make their lives harder, to the point where they take themselves out. And I was like, okay, you know what? This isn't my fault. for the first time in a long time, and I didn't know how to fix it. I thought, I'll sue all these people in Canada. And I wasn't thinking. I was like still knocking on the same doors, and I kind of started to feel a little bit insane because I was expecting a different result out of the same people. Like, if I feel violated by the President of the Canadian Human Rights Commission, if I'm not satisfied with the Human Rights Tribunal of Ontario and the Human Rights Legal Support Center, if I feel violated by them as well, when I ask them for help, by the justice system, by the landlord tribunal, by the police, by the actual legislator, David Lamenti and Justin Trudeau and Doug Ford, if I feel violated by all of these people, what sense does it make to sue them within their own system? So, my life is on the line. I don't have time. And I think that's what people don't understand, is I also am going to the International Criminal Court because I don't think I can put myself through the abuse of this system any longer. And I've already given them all of the opportunity in the world to stop abusing me. And I've threatened them with lawsuits, and their neglect is still very abusive. So I can't take it anymore. And I submitted these 33 lawsuits with the Superior Court of Justice. I have my fee waiver for the $8,000 that it would cost. And I'm looking at it, thinking to myself, looking at how my tribunal is going, looking at how my accommodations are being met with the Ontario Landlord and Tenant Board. I'm being spoken for. I feel like I don't exist. All of my requests are being denied. I'm being treated like the criminal here, even though I'm suing my landlord for all of these really horrible things. I'm the one that's being treated like the criminal. I'm the victim here, and I'm the one that's being fought, and I have no lawyer, I have no doctor, I have nothing. I have nobody. And I've told them all that it makes me want to die, and they still don't care. Everybody's aware. All of my emails are ignored. Nobody has done anything. I have not received any kind of directives or instructions on what, other than they're going to do my court in writing, which I think puts me in a very vulnerable situation because I can't even read what they send me because it triggers me and puts me into this mega meltdown, and I throw up, I have to lay down, I have to fucking fall asleep, play video games, and erase what's happening, or I feel like it's going to kill me. And people don't understand that. And they're not listening to me when I talk about it. And when I say it, they don't believe me. Which makes me want to fucking die. So, I am going on a trip. I don't know when. I have no idea when. I'm going to Holland, to The Hague, International Criminal Court first, submit my evidence there as well, and the lawsuits and the claims and the statements and all these videos. Then I think go to London, England, and talk to someone at the Commonwealth. I have to do all this research. I don't know when I'm going because I need to call all these people first and make arrangements before I go, because I'm not going in blind. I'm calling these departments, I'm setting up appointments, I'm making arrangements to go in, making sure I'm going to the right places. And I'm going to make sure that they are fully aware of me coming. And this video, this hour and 10-minute video, is going to be uploaded to YouTube, obviously, and I'm gonna send it. And this is sort of why I'm sending it. I'm sitting here thinking about how I'm going to deliver this message. Why do I feel like I deserve to go ahead to the International Criminal Court? Why do I feel like I deserve this? And I don't myself, all alone. I don't. My mother is coming with me. I would ask my grandmother to come too if she felt comfortable to speak about it. I know she won't be. But the story that we have is just a very valid example of genocide. Just one. And I want to open the door. I'm going in there, okay? I'm strong, I'm willed, I'm loud, I'm really sure of myself. And I speak well on the issue. And I've spent a lot of time thinking about it. And I've been to a lot of therapy, and I've been to a lot of corporate shit. And I've been through the corporate stringer, so to speak. So I do believe that I'm well built, not better built. I don't think I'm better than anybody. In fact, I think a lawyer representing me would be better, because I'm not trained in law. I just know it from being in it as a user of the justice system, but a very active user. And I've had a lot of experience with lawyers, working at a law firm, or working at the bank, or just dealing with contracts my whole life and understanding that part. But I'm not a lawyer, I don't think I want to be. But I do understand justice. I grew up with the court system, foster, children's aid, a lot of bullshit. And I see all of that experience has given me, I think, a lens that you can't even get in school. It has that first-hand experience of being in a courtroom my whole life, almost, not really, or like being in that realm of how far people will go, what people will do to discredit you, what people will do to avoid accountability, to stay innocent. How far people will go to stay innocent is alarming, even though they know that they've done something wrong. It's that I think that really pushes me 10 steps ahead of a lot of people that I'm challenging. Because when you challenge somebody to be accountable, it comes across like an attack. I'm well prepared. I've seen the best and the worst of what people do when it comes to being accountable. And I've seen the outcome. Some people do get away with it. Some people are really good. Some people have the same tricks up their sleeves and they've been using them their whole life, and they've been successful because they've never met someone like me who is 10 steps ahead of them without them knowing. And then, boom, all of the things that they've known and tried didn't work with me. And they thought I was retarded first because of my autism and how quirky and weird I am. They thought I had a learning disability so that they could easily oh God, I wish people did not think that I had a learning disability. I think actually people who can't adapt have more of a learning disability, and I think it's really the system that we're born into that is the disability, and not us. Yeah, we get overwhelmed very easily, and things can go a little explosive, but our body is explosive. My brain is explosive. My God. Anyways, I think I will be a good foot in the door is all I want. I want to be an example. My mom has a story. I have a story. And we're going to share those stories. And we are going to ask for the bridge to be built so that others are welcome and are able to do this as well. And for once, to finally hold not only the Catholic Church, but also this so-called colonial government accountable, and for things to go back to the way that they were, and for the colonial inheritance of resources to end as well. No more private owned like that. All of the colonial inheritance of Africa also needs to end, and Musk needs to be sued at the International Criminal Court for crimes against humanity. And so does Richard Branson. All of these fucking idiots. We need to fix the problems on Earth first before we start taking little people out on a plane to the tip of the atmosphere. And I think the Queen should go to jail. The entire monarchy, who have been complicit and fought for this narrative to exist across the globe. And she's been alive for a lot of it. Perfectly aware. Perfectly negligent. Perfectly genocidal. So, this trip that I'm taking whenever it happens, when I get everything prepared, will be to go to the International Criminal Court, ask for citizenship in France, and to hold the Commonwealth and Queen accountable. And I would go to Rome too and hold the church accountable if I thought they knew how. But I'm going to sue them at the International Criminal Court for genocide. And I think I just want to submit one story, because genocide is the erasure of an entire culture. And I represent multiple cultures, from the homeless to sex workers to autistic to gay people to First Nations. And I'm going to invite all of these people to lend their voice on how the church has contributed to the genocide of these people. And you know what? I'm gonna tell you this right now. If you've listened to this entire video, if this doesn't work, if I still am treated like I do not exist by these people who are solely responsible for creating this mess? I have no idea if I'll survive that. 'Cause this is the last door that I can think of to make things right. I'm not the kind of person to be a bystander. I know a lot of people have been telling me, Aaron, just give up. Stop trying to change the world. Find a different place that you fit in and go live there and just pretend this doesn't happen. I can't. Fuck, if only. If only I could turn that off. But I would feel like a traitor. I would feel like I was contributing to genocide. Even though trying to fight it makes me want to die. I believe also it's a lose-lose situation, because if I chose to ignore it, it would also really eat me up inside. I would think of all the people that my story and our energy and fire could help. And if I chose to act like my life and past and what I survived didn't exist, I would be allowing them, they would win. And in a sense, I've killed myself already. I've killed my voice. I'm actively helping them kill, and I can't. And when I say them, I mean this entire system. And if the International Criminal Court does nothing, if all of the leaders at the United Nations do nothing, if these people who claim all these things on their branding and their website, and we are for the people, then I believe I will not want to be here anymore if they don't do anything. I won't. I know that. I will. You know, and especially when you look at past and you look at the genocide of the Jews and what happened in Germany, and you think about what Germany suffered after that war, Canada is just as guilty, as well as the Brits and a lot of the Commonwealth and France, and a lot of these people that were responsible for fighting Germany were also collectively killing people off as well. So I don't have a lot of hope. I'm kind of hoping that they do nothing so that I can go away forever and give up. It's like when I started fighting, I thought everybody has to answer to someone. And then you look at how many someones I've asked, and it's really overwhelming. And I think, okay, well, if they truly are working together amongst this planet, amongst these alliances and United Nations, we'll call them, to suppress their own contributions to the problems that they're pretending to stop, you know, the crimes against humanity, the poverty, the genocide, the, you know, you know, deep down, I think it's all an act. And I am almost 100%, I'm almost 100% sure that this isn't going to do anything. So it's really just kind of like, what's keeping me alive? Thinking that I can use my life and story to make a difference. Well, I still want to die, and I am merely going to exhaust everybody that I can possible who are here to make a difference. And if it doesn't, then I'll know that it's time to just give up, and then somebody else can do it. And I did my best. So and I'm okay with that. Hell, I think my death would actually speed things up faster, deep down, you know? Knocking on every door possible and then finally giving up. What does that say? And even the people that do try to help end up telling me that their hands are tied with respect to all the things that are trying to kill me, right? So a lot of these people are gonna say, oh, we tried to help, but no, they all tried to blame me. They all tried to fix me, and I'm not the one that needs fixing, okay? I'm complaining to have the legislation and the policies fixed now, yesterday, because it makes me want to die. And all the people that try to help me are worried about my coping skills and my mental health and I'm just like, no, I would be fine if I was just treated fairly, and if I had the same access to the same resources, I would be doing fine, actually. And I wouldn't have done all of this. And I probably would have been really ignorant to a lot of other people suffering if I had all of the resources that I wanted, if I had everything I wanted all the time. So yeah, here's my 90-minute video. And I think this is the best way to submit my introduction to the government in Holland, France, England. Just spilling the beans from my heart. No script, no letters, no nothing, just straight from my heart. And all of the evidence will be provided. So thank you for listening.